In the windswept Scottish Highlands, where so many passionate moments between Jamie Fraser and Claire Randall in Outlander were filmed, there were no more shouts of "action" or "cut" from the director. The film was over, but perhaps another story had just begun. Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe, after nearly 10 years together, through every episode, every frame, and every look, finally could not hide what fans had always felt. There was a love between them that went beyond the screen. The farewell from the set, and the unforgettable look. On the last day of filming for the final season of Outlander, the Scottish sky was gloomy as if it was mourning with them. The crew was silent, except for the sound of the wind blowing through the grasslands and Sam's quiet footsteps. He looked at Caitriona, the woman with whom he had acted hundreds of scenes of love, anger, and even separation. She stood there, in her signature Claire dress, her eyes sparkling with tears. When the director shouted, "Cut," for the last time, the studio erupted in applause, but in the crowd, only two people stood still, looking at each other, not saying a word. "So it's over," Caitriona said softly, her voice trembling. Sam smiled, walked over, and put his hand on her shoulder. "No, Claire, no, Kate. A chapter is closed, but maybe another chapter is opening." She laughed through her tears, but inside, something was shaking. For years, they had kept a line between role and life. But when the lights went down, she realized she could no longer tell Jamie from Sam. What was real, what was acting? The days that followed, silence and emptiness. After the film ended, Caitriona returned to London, and Sam continued working on his whiskey brand. They still texted, still shared projects, but something had changed. They were no longer just colleagues, but two people learning to live without seeing each other every day. One night, Caitriona received a handwritten letter. The neat handwriting, the familiar faint smell of ink. It was from Sam. Claire once told Jamie, "My heart is yours, forever." He didn't know why he wrote a letter, instead of texting like he normally did. Maybe it was because he wanted to say something real, something the camera could never capture. "I miss you, Kate. Not my co-star. I miss the person who makes every day at work special." Caitriona was speechless. She had read the letter at least 10 times, but couldn't write a single reply. She knew exactly what they were facing: public opinion, personal life, constraints, and most of all, fear. Fear that if they admitted it, it would all fall apart. Edinburgh night, the eyes speak the language. 3 months later, at Sam's whiskey launch in Edinburgh, the media focused their cameras on a woman who had just entered the hall. Caitriona Balfe, elegant, sophisticated, but her eyes were on only one place: Sam Heughan. He was talking to reporters, but when he saw her, his smile suddenly stopped. The room seemed to be left with only the two of them. "Are you really coming?" Sam asked softly as they walked out into the back garden, where there was only yellow light and the faint scent of whiskey. "You promised, remember?" she smiled. "I said this was the most important launch of my life. How could you not come?" "Thank you," he replied softly. "I'm not sure I could do it without you." Caitriona looked up at him. In the dim light, Sam's eyes shone with such genuine emotion that it made her heart clench. "Sam," she was about to say something, but he gently took her hand. "Kate, I can't pretend anymore." His voice trembled. "No more script, no more director. Just you and me. I love you." She fell silent. In that moment, all the surrounding sounds disappeared. There was only the mingling of breaths, and a hug, no longer belonging to Jamie and Claire, but the real Sam and Caitriona. A secret love between two worlds. They kept their relationship a secret, not out of fear, but because they wanted to protect the fragile things that had just begun to blossom. Sam often flew to London, using the excuse of meeting partners, but everyone realized that he just needed a reason to see her. Caitriona, in interviews, always avoided being asked about Sam, but her eyes lit up whenever he mentioned his name, a light that fans immediately recognized. He's the one who makes me feel like myself, she once said, without thinking, on a talk show. That was enough to set social media ablaze, and the rumors started again. Sam and Caitriona are in love in real life. Sam didn't deny it, he just smiled. If it makes people happy, then believe it. But the truth was, after every camera turned off, he texted her. I miss you, and I wish we could live like Jamie and Claire, without fear, without hiding. The Plateau and the Promise. One autumn afternoon, Caitriona received a text message. Come to Glen Coe, where we filmed our season 2 farewell scene. I have something to say. When she arrived, Sam was there, in the middle of the vast mountains, where the wind swirled through the golden grass slopes. He leaned against a large rock, his smile a little sad but his eyes still as bright as the day they first met. Kate, he said, his voice deep. I don't know what the future holds, I just know that every time you leave, I feel empty. She stepped closer, her eyes brimming with tears. Sam, I know we're walking on the thin line between dreams and reality. But you can't deny it anymore. He stepped closer, took her hand, and placed it on his heart. Then don't deny it. I don't want to live half a lie anymore. Caitriona smiled softly, tears falling on his hand. If you dare, I dare. And then they kissed, no longer a scene, no camera, no script. Just two people finding each other amidst all the unfinished things. Love revealed. The news exploded within a few weeks. A paparazzi caught them together in a small cafe in Paris. Hand in hand, no need to hide. The press went crazy, social media was abuzz. Outlander fans everywhere erupted, some crying, some laughing, some screaming with joy. They really loved. Jamie and Claire are real in real life. In a special interview later, Sam stopped shying away. He looked straight into the lens and said, we are no longer Jamie and Claire. But if love on screen can survive time, then maybe it can survive in real life. Caitriona sat next to him, gently placing her hand on his. That gesture was enough to let the world know, this was no longer a rumor. A new beginning. The following June, they appeared together at the Venice Film Festival. Caitriona in a pure white dress, Sam in a classic tuxedo, they no longer hid anything. As they walked down the red carpet, Sam leaned in slightly, kissed her forehead, flashes flashed, cheers rang out. The media called it a real-life movie moment. When love was no longer a role, Caitriona whispered in his ear. I never thought that after all, we would still be here, together. Sam smiled, I always believed. Because, true love never ends when the movie stops, it just begins. When the show ended, love began. Years later, when asked about his journey, Sam Heughan said a sentence that made millions of people cry. Outlander gave me fame, but the most precious thing I received was her. Caitriona looked at him, smiling gently, the smile he fell in love with at first sight. The two now had a peaceful life together in the Scottish Highlands, where it all began. Every morning, they drank coffee together on the balcony overlooking the misty valley, listening to the wind blowing through the familiar hills, where both their love in the show and in real life had blossomed. Do you ever regret anything? Caitriona asked. Sam took her hand, his eyes gentle. If I could do it all over again, I would still choose to love you. Whether in the show or in real life. When the show ended, love began. It is no longer the story of Jamie and Claire, but of Sam and Caitriona, two souls who find each other between reality and fantasy, between art and real life. And perhaps, in the fake world of showbiz, that love is proof that, revolving hearts, there are things that only happen once in a lifetime, and when they come, you will know, it is destiny.